In the news today, the big question is how did people feel when Buddha ended up leaving? So, over the past 3 months, I've been actually having strong, powerful, good, interesting conversations with a person at work. Given how the past 2 weeks things have been happening, I basically, given over the past 2 weeks how things have been happening, I basically have kind of like been shifting away from whatever pattern that's existed for the past 6 months. So there was July, not July, sorry. April is when I moved to that working location that exists right now. From April till July, all I did was code, program and code. From July till now, I mingled a bit more. I discussed business a bit more. I talked about growth. I wrote, I read more. I did a whole lot of stuff more that's not strictly coding. I learned more about programming. I did a whole lot of like, I just approached different things other than that single focus. My day was a lot more stuff. I thought of my concept more. I I tried a different business model more. I did e-commerce marketing. I started consulting now. My course starts tomorrow. The business, what's it called, the business analysis course. Now with everything kind of shifting and moving into a different direction, over the past month, the other side where I was a bit more of a was pushing me away, and a lot of things were changing in a way that wasn't really, I don't want to say comfortable to me, but was like kind of like disrupting the flow of things. And it's fine because like things are always changing, and then you can't force them to actually flow the way you want. You have to take them the way they are, and then you have to decide if you want to use that flow, your flow, spread it over there or whatever it is. But I neglected one thing, and like I developed like a strong daily conversational friendship between me and the person over there. And I really, again, like the question was what that popped in my head today that made me feel a bit arrogant, but also kind of like, how I don't necessarily feel anything more than just a random guy that was hanging out at some place and now I'm moving. Well, for other people in the world, they are a lot more attached to consistency, and they're a lot more attached to like repetitive daily behaviors and things that basically occur every single day. They want it. They want that unique. They want that unique, that simpler approach where they know what's happening. They can look forward to it. They can estimate the time it will happen. They can pace themselves. They can plan around it. And I had that for like 3 months, right? At first, I had that with the work that I had to do. So I'd go there and I work for 4 to 6 hours, and then when I finish, I go the rest of the night. I go like I do different things, and then I go. And then when I finished my website, I went and I studied for a while, and I tried different things, and I practiced different kinds of code, and I went in and out of different things in order for me to kind of like expand my train of thought, my ideas, my mind, see where I can go, what I can do, what are the things that I can incorporate. Ultimately, because I failed, right? Because my website did not succeed, and even when I wanted to go back to it and actually start like fix it, I didn't know where to start fixing it. So like no, and I didn't have people that can like actually guide me or point in different directions. But so that change for me happened in the same location, but now the change is happening in a different location. I really have to move to a different place. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, so like I'm not going to be able to hang out with my friend the same way I did before. And she's been making it a point that she doesn't like how this is going over the past like 2 months. Like, She jokingly says that when you leave, who will I hang out with? Who would I talk to? Uh, who would actually like be able to discuss these things with me and philosophical things? And I felt like there's a bit of like uh, there's a lot of me that has always been rejected by the world that she kind of like was excited to meet. And when I say rejected by the world, rejected by the people I knew, by the reality that I knew. And then basically, I'm the guy who doesn't speak to his family the way he's supposed to, simply because they really make it a point that they're not interested in having any conversation with me. It's not like I don't think I'm an asshole. I just really think they don't like to speak and feel a certain kind of way after I speak about the things I speak about. But I found somebody who actually likes that kind of conversation. It's invigorating, it's challenging, it's just like more, I want to say triggering. Triggering is the easier way. And I'm trying to understand how she would feel because she's going to stay there and she's been there for 7 years, right? Like she's been doing her thing for the past 7 years. She's been engaging, growing, evolving, all that stuff over the past like 7 years in that place. And for me, like for the first time in these 7 years, she hangs out with me, she sits with me, she takes a break with me, we like sit, we talk, and then we continue working. And it's been super fun from my side, but like for me right now, I'm moving with the pattern, with the new pattern. But for her, she kind of like is the old pattern is gonna come back to how it is. And it feels like what I did was like pass through in that like kind of small time frame, which is her existence in that space. And I passed through that space and I fucked off because like my plan was never to be there. Although it does cross your mind, you start imagining like, oh, I'll get an office over here and whatever, but you kind of know deep down that if you really want to achieve what you want to achieve, you don't you come back to something, you don't grow in it. You kind of have to see it from a different angle. Everything needs to be objectified, man. Everything needs to be objectified first before you are able to subjectively take a proper stance. Objectification and subjectification. The balance. I talked about this, I think, 3 videos ago or something like this. You have to objectify something and then subjectify it, and then after you subjectify it, you have to objectify it to see how close your feelings are to it and all that good stuff. But anyways, so like the thought came to my head randomly while I was walking right now. It was like, how did the people that meet Buddha feel? Because all he did was just like walk around and just talk about what people thought was nonsense, right? And again, like it made me feel arrogant because like, why would I think of that? But then I realized that no, I actually like there's absolutely no point for me to stay in that environment at all. It doesn't support what I want to become. It supports what I'm having doing right now. It doesn't support what I want to become. And to her, I'm just like a guy who's passing, and she kind of like life talking to, listening to, and all that stuff. For some reason, I associated that with like how people would have felt at the time, where they would be like sitting, doing the same thing every day, and then somebody would come, kind of like shift their mind, train of thought, talk to them about stuff they never considered, and then fuck off. And that's basically how I felt. I felt more like a selfish brat who kind of screwed with the reality that existed on that side. Because anywhere you look at it, everything was super smooth, was going okay, was just going for 6, 7 years for her in the same place. And it took me 3 months for her to kind of start saying, but now when you leave, things are not going to be the same anymore. And I found myself always like, and I laughed because I was like, no, we're not breaking up, you know, that I'm just moving to a different place. We can always have coffee. We can always chill. Like, what the hell are you on? But I feel like when people create their own setting, a repetitive setting, it blocks whatever reality, whatever the world has to offer from their reality. And in a way, it kind of shields them. it shields their thought, it shields their feelings, it shields their potential and risk, it shields the things that they would want to kind of like engage in, uh, jump into, because ultimately these are the things that hurt you the most if you actually don't do them well, or they only hurt you when you give up on them, right? If you don't give up on them, all you're doing is just again and again and again until when they work, you realize there's something else you want to do now, and then again and again and again. I don't think people actually get to see that. And in a way, I feel like because most of my questions and my thought processes are always towards and then what? And now, how am I going to enjoy this? How am I going to accept this for what it is and look at things from a different angle in order for tomorrow to be a beautiful day, just like this one, where I can kind of balance being present, but also be planning on something and working on something else. It seems like surreal fun for me. Like yesterday, while I was like going home or going up to the mountains, which is home. This is home too, man. I'm really loving this place. I'm not gonna lie. I'm really loving the fact that light comes in from everywhere. But there's a surreal feeling that's just like ridiculous. And I don't know. I feel like that's basically movement. It kind of is always kind of fulfilling something in you. And because you're always building on top of something from before, whilst when you're stuck in a place, the last thing you want is for somebody to kind of like turn on the light on everything else that you kind of are missing. And that's how she's been making me feel the past 3 weeks. Solid truth, dude. I pointed it out. I told her why you're making me feel guilty yesterday. And she was like, I'm not trying to do that because you shouldn't. But then she looked at me and she goes like, but that's basically how I've always expressed myself. Because like, ultimately she's going to miss me and I'm gonna miss her and I'm gonna miss hanging out with her and talking to her. But again, like every day. What the fuck? And then what? And that's what I told her. And then she was like, I know, but like till the next time we have coffee, I'm gonna be sitting here and basically just taking notes about meetings and business stuff. Or just notes about things that I would want to discuss. Funny, change is always good. Just I don't normally feel guilty about it or get to feel any kind of way about it. I just kind of like go, yay, change. Uh, all right. I don't know, man. I don't know. The point of this video is basically how to deal or handle people in your life that kind of want you there. I don't think I'm really used to it. I'm not used to people that don't want me, that are not happy when I'm not around. I'm not used to people like that. This is fucking huge, by the way. I just kind of like felt something like a deep breath came onto me. All right.